Okay, officially I'm live for part 2 of July 18th. Sorry about that, guys. I know it's going to take a little while for those of you who rejoin to even see the stream. So if you're on, if you could say, let me know that you can, if you can hear me. Sounds like Cal can, so that's a good sign.
Okay.
Oh, I think there's just some delay in people seeing this stream. Why are you not even showing up as someone who's viewing the stream?
I don't know.
There you are again. Okay, and someone else has joined. Good. So, part 2 of today's virtual studio party.
Before we were so rudely interrupted
by
Cal's brilliant idea.
Obviously, changing anything on the fly is not a good idea during a live stream. Cal was suggesting I change the setting on my external mic so that his audio sounded better. Really bad idea. But this is precisely how you learn, or at least it's how I learn. Anyway, hopefully some of you will find me. I'm just going to check my channel to see that it's showing up properly.
Rebecca
yes, it is.
She's back.
Oh, good. Hello. Well, I know Kirk really likes things to be like very gritty, real things going wrong. And you're getting the live stream of your dreams today, aren't you, Kirk?
Too verite for me.
Yeah, I prefer something a little less verite myself. Anyway, here we are. So I believe I was talking about my wedding, but I've lost my thread. So I think I'll resort to the comfort of my art supplies. Boy, I hope the others find the stream. When I checked my channel, it was showing up, but not everyone may realize that they need to refresh. He's in his comfort zone. That's awesome. Oh, Kirk, you're a good guy to have around. It's instantly less stressful when you know there's someone out there who's actually appreciating all the things that are the character of real life and things going wrong. So I'm going to start working on this layer that I brought to work on.
Elaine has made it over.
Oh, good. Thank you. Sometimes you have to refresh more than once, right? It's always tricky. I hate it when I have to restart a stream, but it happens. Some technical thing or other goes amiss, and then I'm going to push my computer back now that I don't have to tend to the sound. And adjust the screen a bit so you can see the layer I'm working on. There, that's pretty good.
Elaine says there are a couple of part 2s. Yes, we've had the occasional screw up before.
Well, there's this weird thing that happens when you're done a live stream, and then there's an option to click on stream, but then it doesn't behave normally like when I start my normal streams. So I did have a to be deleted brief part 2 It shouldn't even have gone live, but it probably did because, tech issues tend to cluster.
Okay, right. So that's what
That
today.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, today.
Oh dear. Right. Well, that's gonna.
Hopefully, people will figure it out, though. Anyway, here I am, getting some blood on my paper here. I'm sort of seeing how much the ink is spreading on this bleeding on this paper and adjusting my spacing accordingly. So you can see this last row has more space in between. So what did you bring? Any of you who haven't mentioned what you brought to work on or play with?
Yeah, so I just asked Elaine, and she said she's trying to start something, but a little unfocused, so she'll do something that doesn't need a lot of thought.
Right.
Yeah. And Sonia is back. Hi, Sonia.
You
Welcome
found
back.
us.
Thank you for.
Good.
Yeah. Sorry for the trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
Got a snack.
Well, that's good. Opportune moment. Yeah. I have a lot of experience with tech, but not in this area, not audio and video. So I've been learning that. I've been learning that gradually over the last couple of years, especially the last year, but then most intensively since the COVID thing happened. I mean, I had never done a YouTube live stream before the virtual studio parties. I had done a couple of Instagram live streams and a Facebook live stream. Quite different. The way you do it is quite different.
So I have a few things to relay.
Oh, good.
So Rebecca says of Kurt, he teaches online every day, so he gets it.
Yeah.
And Sonia says what you're doing reminds her of Ron Martin, the pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
It also makes me think of the late Peter Klisnik, who was a friend and mentor, and he did a series. It didn't look like this, but it was this kind of mark tapping with watercolor. He had a vermilion series, and it was watercolor painting as sculpture. It was his last body of work, actually. It was beautiful. It had different colors, too. I wish I had one of those. I had the great good fortune of being able to pack up his apartment for his final move to a beautiful little house that he designed all the renovations for. He was a fantastic designer, minimalist, right? So the house was a gorgeous little living and studio space, and we offered to help, and then he says, Kim, why don't you pack the art? Like, seriously, the most stressful job he could have given me, but I did him proud. He had a really fragile artwork that was made decades earlier from masking tape, very precise, very delicate, and of course masking tape degrades pretty easily over time. The classic beige masking tape. So it was very fragile, become very amber. It already had some broken edges and stuff, and he actually saw it as an ephemeral artwork that he enjoyed watching the changes. But clearly, he didn't want a pile of powder at the end of his move. He did want something left. So I built a structure for that thing, and it survived, and he was impressed. I was impressed. Yeah. Anyway, I'll never forget that, his excitement too, right? Because he'd been blocked for quite a few years. He hadn't been producing new work, real work. You know, he'd done drawings and things, but not his real work. And it was a beautiful thing. And what a nice way to, like, he passed away too soon, but what a great way to end with some in the midst of something you're genuinely excited about. And
he didn't complain about it at all. The one thing he said was, damn, I wanted like just 5 more years so I could get this
to
really
get this
done.
work done.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would have been something. Yeah.
Sonia says drawings are real. Yes, good point, Sonia.
Oh, but these weren't his real drawings. They were like, you know, he'd go out with friends and they'd be doing plein air drawing, and that's not his cup of tea. So he'd draw some old twisted cedar detail, which was beautiful.
Which were great.
They were beautiful, but they weren't his real work. That's all I mean.
They were his cross training.
Yeah.
Annie says she's working on homework, LOL, trying to understand what layering would look like.
Well, you know the thing. So here I've got a piece of paper, right? And I'm putting something on it. Now, I don't even know if this will be in the final piece or pieces. I'm just making something that's interesting to me, that could be combined with other things and layered up with other things. So I'm giving it a surface design, I guess you could call it, that connects up to things that I work on. As I mentioned, blood and hearts and all of that. And so, so that's the thing. You could take a piece of paper and draw lines going all over the place, or you could make marks. You could
so layering doesn't have to be transparent?
Well, this paper here, light passes through, so it qualifies as translucent. Doesn't have to be transparent, but when you make it on something that has some ability to see through, then the relationship between things underneath it and things above it and itself become really potentially very interesting and richer. So you can certainly have some opaque layers, but it's very interesting to have some transparent or translucent ones. Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know what I'm going on about, Annie is very nicely joined me for my contemporary mixed media course that started yesterday, as has Stella. I don't know if Stella's made it back.
Yeah, I'm not sure she has.
Rats.
Hope she does.
And Mira is also in it. And it's so nice. So there's homework, and the virtual studio party is a chance to work on that. But Annie, you could make any kind of drawing, and it could be a layer. So if you wanted to draw something, you could draw something recognizable, something representational. That can also be a layer. It could be interesting combining that with layers that are not representational. So
Rebecca said earlier she's removing the paper from a direct transfer. She started after class yesterday.
Ah, great.
Sonia and I have been talking about Peter Klosnik a little bit. He says, the work you're making, that style I could do forever. And I said, me too. And she says, she likes the way you're relaxed about it. Oh, and Stella made it back. Yay!
Oh, Stella.
Yeah,
I'm so
glad.
glad.
We were just saying that we were concerned you hadn't made it across, Stella, so thank you. Yay.
I was just talking about, because Annie and I had been talking a little bit about layers relating to the homework for contemporary mixed media, and I mentioned that you were in the course too.
Yeah, she's super excited about the class.
Oh, I'm so glad. It's a wonderful thing about online courses that it means that there are very few geographical barriers. I mean, obviously there are some time zone constraints, right? Although I have been on webinars where people, because they're so devoted to the person or the topic, people in Australia have been up at some ungodly hour for their time zone in order to be there. But Australians, I know my mother used to live and work there. She's a dual citizen, actually. Australia is used to being isolated, so they're more inclined to go the extra mile in order to be connected with things that they want to in the wider world. Yeah, so I think I'm liking what's happening in this lower part. I might do something else with that part, or else that'll be a transition zone.
Sonia says it's about the white paper now, which is kind of fun. Yeah, the
Yeah.
negatives.
There. Such a feeling of satisfaction when you actually reach the end of something like that. And it's interesting how it's changed. So I'll give it a minute to stabilize or whatever.
Sonia says, big exhale.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Oh, I have these new glasses. They're exactly the same shape. I mentioned this last week as the old glasses, but they're a dark tortoiseshell. But the other thing that's different about them is that they're, what's that called? Instead of bifocals, they're that continuous lens, whatever that's called. Anyway, so every now and again I turn my head and I watch the flat table do this, and it's like, whoa. What just happened there? It's a little bit. It plays a bit of a game on your head. I am mostly adjusting to them. I've noticed the last couple of days I've worn them all day and all evening. So, but it is weird when, yeah, right there.
Don't make yourself seasick.
Well, you know what could happen.
I know. That's why I'm.
Okay, I'm going to lift this up.
That's great. So simple, but so good.
I actually think the density at the top is kind of interesting. Yeah. You know, so I'm making this layer. I don't even have an idea of a size for what the piece I'm doing. Nothing. I'm just making some layers. And over the course of making some layers, I'm sort of going to figure out what what I'm doing. I mean, that's the hope. It's happened before, so I'm going to have faith it will happen again.
Sonia said she wants to wear it.
Yeah. Seriously, right? I would totally wear that fabric.
And it says giant bird.
Oh, that's fun because it's like feathers.
Yeah, it is like feathers.
That's lovely. Yeah. I like that idea. Okay, so I've got my Halloween costume sorted. I just need a beak. Well, that was fun. So maybe I'll get another piece of paper rolled out.
Thank you, Elaine. Elaine promised us progressives is what they're called.
Thank you, Elaine. Elaine brought the words with her.
Yes, thank you for bringing
The
your
words I so desperately needed. Yeah, it's. I know it's frustrating listening to people who are. Oh, I've already got red ink on this. Well, that's just going to be part of it. Oh, was that in the way?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. It's good to have someone else watching what you're doing.
Well, Sonia requested.
Oh, thank you.
Says she wears them too. It takes a while to get used to, especially when making art.
Yeah, right. I actually got them because I was getting tired of watching videos of myself with my bifocals, teaching classes going like this all the time.
Yeah.
It was like really driving me crazy.
That too. Everyone gets to look up my nose, like, oh, lucky them,
Yeah. And what I wanted to do, if I could have, was go to the optometrist, get a new prescription, and then get some computer-only single vision glasses. But I'm not going to see an optician or an optometrist for a while. So I just ordered with my old prescription these progressives. Well, it's tough because they're those transitions lenses too, right? And there's a logic to it. It could also be called that, but that's the sunglasses transform. So
Sonia said, good idea.
Well, there's a lot of spring in that paper. So I was thinking today about, now things are opening up. Some of us are less
Hemmed in fully.
Yeah, some people are really out there as if COVID never happened. But people are able to go out a little more. Like I know I have some friends and former students and students who are in an art exhibition in Oakville, right?
Yes.
Bronte, the foot of Bronte Road.
Don't ask me the name of the place.
It's some historical house at the foot of Bronte Road. And these are good friends and longtime students and former students. So we're going to go, but it's social distanced. Only 5 people, I think, can go see it at a time. It's called Figuratively Speaking. It's on this weekend, next Wednesday, the following weekend, and the Wednesday after that, if you're interested. But for us, that'll, for me especially, that'll be a venturing out into the world thing because Cal does all our shopping and we order quite a bit of our shopping still. But I was thinking about how COVID has changed, the experience of the lockdown has changed a lot of things for me. And some of them have been for the better for me personally. And people who know me know I have stamina issues, and teaching online has been a godsend because the whole having to gather and schlep piles of stuff, because I always go with piles of stuff, and drive somewhere and then pack it, set up, then pack it all up when I'm tired at the end of the teaching, and then drive myself home when I'm tired. That's just getting to, since my car accident, that has turned into not a very good idea at all. Anyway, teaching online has been very good for conserving my energy so I can put it into the course. And so that's something I'm going to continue doing a lot of, even once we have vaccine, successful treatments and all of that. And I was just wondering if any of you had anything that had been a change, maybe for the better in some respect, that you think you might continue with going forward, even when the pandemic isn't a factor.
Yeah, Sonia says, we'll look back at the positive things. And she also said, we needed to slow down.
Oh my God, didn't we?
Yes, Sonia. Sonia says, my daughter is cooking now, and I was thinking that a whole generation of young people
is
will
learning
suddenly
to cook.
learn how to cook, right?
Finally.
Because, yeah.
Yeah. It's such an important life skill, even when you don't exercise it much. Like, I'm very lucky because Cal does virtually all of the cooking. And, but I can cook. So there's a big difference between being able to and not doing it very much, and not being able to do it at all. Must have been a panicky moment for a lot of younger people.
Well, not just younger people. How many? But yeah, for sure.
Well, some people just maybe had to dust off their skills, but some people never had any skills to begin with it. And that's what I'm thinking of, the... What?
Oh, so we've got a bunch of things to pass along.
Oh, good.
So Annie says more appointments with doctors will be virtual.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yes.
we've
Isn't that
already
good?
had some of those. Which is
Yeah.
great. Sonia says her daughter's learning cooking from TikTok.
Oh, fun. Right. I must check out TikTok.
Rebecca says Kirk does all ours too in terms of shopping. Annie says less waiting time, and if an in-person visit is necessary, it can be quickly done too.
Yeah. That's great.
No, we're not, Sonia. We're not on TikTok yet.
No.
We're old farts, but...
And we don't have kids, right?
Yeah.
So it means that, I'm pretty social media engaged,
Savvy,
but I have to wait a while when something comes up to make sure it actually becomes a meaningful place, because so many social media have cropped up over the years, like dozens. So I am going to check out TikTok, though, because it has become a genuine phenomenon.
Yeah, and Sonia says lots of artists are on TikTok, which I wouldn't know.
Yeah, so that's good to know.
Yeah. Annie says hardest for teens, especially those with mental health issues. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
I know it's been hard on our mental health, and we're at least established adults and not at a stage in our life where we need to be out in the world and to the same degree.
Sonia says she's watching it so far, trying to get it. And that you can...
Right.
And Rebecca says you can watch lots of TikToks on YouTube.
Ah, yes. I think I probably have watched a few, come to think of it.
And Sonia says social media also connects us. For sure it does. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a completely different experience having a lockdown now versus when you can work from home, you can get entertainment from home. As long as you've got high-speed internet, you can order online, you can visit people via Zoom or FaceTime or whatever. Wow, imagine if it had happened in the 80s, the same degree of lockdown. It would have been
really harsh, right?
Very, very hard, and especially, even under the current circumstances, if you're in a family situation or living arrangement that's very unhappy, yeah. That would make the reality very, very harsh.
Sonia says visual artists and writers are used to being on their own.
Yeah.
to a certain extent. It depends on the artist, obviously, but definitely gestation time and time to
The solitary work in the studio.
yeah.
But when the virtual studio party and Cal's virtual collage jam began, because as when lockdown happened, after the very first burst of just shock and adjustment, I was really worried about all the people I knew who went to all the art centers to take classes, to go to open studios, to have that community group experience of friendship and creativity, and how hard it would be. Some of whom live alone, so magnified by that. Yeah.
Something from earlier that I didn't get to relay was Rebecca said Kirk had a convo. What is that? That's
Conversation?
No. Oh, maybe, yeah. At work, and someone pointed out that weekends feel like weekends now because you're actually home.
You're not running around endlessly doing whatever it was that. And I like that I don't have to feel guilt that I'm not out running around like crazy, making myself into an exhausted
because you have
mess.
Finite energy, right? And so...
And I always wanted to do
all the things.
The fraction of things that for me would have been the equivalent to all the things. And I
even then,
yeah.
So Sonia says, yes, reaching out to people is a good idea. And she said, what day is it? And I thought that's actually, I presume you mean the collage jam, Sonia. So that's on Mondays.
Yeah, Mondays at 2 on Cal's YouTube
on my
channel.
YouTube channel. But I also thought it was a more general COVID thing. What day is it? Because that could be true, right?
Day, who knows what.
Okay, you were joking. Yes,
in the pandemic. What day is it actually? I don't know. Let's bake bread. It just sounds like a little short film or video log.
Annie says she's lost her excuse for not having dinner cooked or the house clean. LOL.
Oh, don't let it worry you.
Yeah.
We're on the installment plan with our vacuuming and cleaning. So, we figure over the course of, I don't know, month and a half, 2 months, everything will get covered. And then we'll start over again.
The dust bunnies are on their way to turning into antelope.
That's right. Definitely. Well, I seem to have decided to do kind of veiny, branchy things.
Yeah,
there's a surprise, right?
A real departure.
Yeah, real departure. But funnily enough, I don't often do it this way. I incorporate that kind of imagery, but I don't often sit down and draw it or
create it like this.
Yeah. So I think it's making me think about my Lifelines piece, which has the sinuous sisal rope sandwiched between Chinese paper. And so it has a similar proportion even. That's probably how I got here.
Is the red coming through from something that was left over on the table?
Oh, the little dots?
Yeah.
Yeah, it blotted the mat.
Yeah.
But it's a nice touch, don't you think?
Yeah, no, it is. I thought it might have been a spatter, but then I was thinking, no.
It was a spatter that was on the mat.
Oh, okay.
And from the earlier piece. And this blotted it.
Sonia asks, have you done this on large paper?
Not this specific thing. The Lifelines piece is this in rope on 7.5 foot high paper. I was going to do some hand painted like this scrolls, but I ended up with enough scrolls and out of time.
Yeah.
But I would have had to weed stuff out. So if I do a bunch of smaller ones like this, that could build me towards making some large scrolls that are hand done like this. Ah, that's interesting. I had a different mark that time, and I quite like it. Something more like a varicose vein. Mhm. It's also something interesting that's happening because part of the paper is now dry, while parts of it still have moisture. So as I do a mark across the wet and the dry, I'm getting different results in the same mark. Oh, that was a happy, oh.
Yeah.
It was a happy, and the reason it was happy is because the brush is now reminding me of why I love these brushes so much.
Welcome back.
Yeah, exactly. It takes a while to warm up. It's like in yesterday's class, we did a mark making exercise. Nothing revolutionary about it, but just getting all the systems kind of warmed up, and it's like I've been warming up, and now I'm arriving at something interesting. Little individual marks that are interesting.
Did you give the class prompts for the mark making, or?
Yeah. Very very
Open-ended.
loose ones
Yeah.
at the beginning, and then more specific ones as
Right.
we speed and character.
Sonia says you're making me think of a book, Uncontrollable Beauty.
That's a book, is it? That sounds lovely.
Or the new aesthetics.
It's just such a sensitive brush. So you have to be really aware. You have to have you have to be sensitive. It's sensitive, but you have to be sensitive to what you're doing to take advantage of it. And that's something I love about this.
Sonia says veins.
Oh, yeah. The flow of life.
Means the pulse, life itself. We're in the moment, which is wonderful.
You have to look and listen. When you're looking carefully enough, you can hear it, hear the work say something to you. I think I need to stop this one here. It may not be done, but I feel like that's enough for this. I'll peel it up and I'll show you where it's at. I was thinking, you know, one of the things I miss is going to some of my favorite kinds of shops. Usually the kinds of places where I can find great stuff for my studio or for art making. Because that's pretty much the only kind of shopping I care about. And tools, that's another good thing. But I've also enjoyed ordering because as much as I enjoy going to one of my favorite shops, I get overwhelmed easily. Cal can attest to this. Does anyone else experience that where it's just way too much? Oh, India ink. It's quite similar to Chinese and Japanese ink. It's a very traditional combo of carbon and shellac, actually. So natural materials, traditionally. All right. So I know I've got a big gap there, but I'm reluctant to do anything in that gap. I quite like it horizontally, actually. Let's get closer. And there was some mark making. I'll try and bring it closer. Some mark making down there that I was really, really enjoying in the bottom middle there.
The drier and wetter are nice too.
Yeah, I mean, I like the wet and wet. I like some of the drier marks. This mark actually turned out quite. Actually, I should just take the tape off because it clearly doesn't want to stay.
Annie says it's speaking to your talking about shopping. She says it's so hard not to want to touch everything in the shops.
I'm with you, Annie.
Yeah.
I'm with you. And I see the potential in almost everything. Am I right, Cal?
Oh,
yeah.
More than everything.
It's and it can make you insane. Maybe it is because I'm insane. I don't know.
Sonia says both the orientations are good. She saw mountains in the vertical one.
So those little marks at the top there, I'm really liking. Plus this big wet mark is delicious because, of course, it's got that lovely blooming going on. Yeah, so one of the things about doing this kind of stuff is the fun of and freedom of realizing you got to do lots of them. Just make a whole bunch of them. And the ones that don't work out can be repurposed and layered onto with other things. And the ones that do work out because you did a bunch of them. So, yeah, that's fun. Good time for a little drink.
Sonia says, you want to make me go make art.
Good. Then I'm doing my job, aren't I? That's one of the things, too, about having a little collective creative experience is that it can energize you and inspire you. Not necessarily because you want to do what anyone else is doing, but there's that energy that comes from it. Yeah, so when you say that, I feel really happy because I feel like that's getting generated here, which is exactly what I'd hoped.
She says, inspirational.
Awesome. Oh man, I do not drink enough. I'm gonna have something to drink. What's that fistful of pens you got there, Cal? That's exciting. Cal's got awesome pens.
Yeah, I haven't done anything awesome with them. I was just getting them out, but
Here. Talk about a fistful of pens. Isn't that fun? Look at those lovely colors. I don't know.
okay.
Yeah, my favorite kind of bouquet. There you go. Yeah. So, an art supply store, that's a nice place to go. But I've always been fond of hardware stores as well. And kitchen stores can be really great, or kitchen departments. Dollar stores, thrift stores, IKEA.
We probably buy as much stuff for our art at Home Depot and other non-art supply stores as at the art supply stores. So.
Yeah, probably more in terms of numbers of things. But the art supplies are more expensive usually, so.
Hence why we're at the other stores.
That's right. That's right. We're hey, I love Escoda brushes with the copper ferrules and everything, but they're not in my budget. I can't do that trade off with all the other things I need. So I thought for my final thing today, I haven't opened my altered book in weeks, and I had been working on this spread, I think, possibly during a virtual studio party or else a class. I thought I would work on that for a little bit while those dry.
A couple of things. Elaine asked, will you be layering the red one and this black one together?
Potentially. My plan. Oh, I forgot. I was going to show you something. I was going to show you an artwork that I made. The Japanese paper place very nicely invited me to give an afternoon, I think, demonstration that would be free to the public before COVID happened. And it was supposed to happen the week after lockdown. And or maybe 2 weeks. And I explained to Nancy, the owner, that I wasn't going anywhere. And she closed down her store for lockdown not long after. So anyway, I'd made a sample. in order to explore what I might demonstrate and to work specifically with Japanese papers. I love mashing together all kinds of different materials, and especially, combining something precious with something the opposite. And given my budget, cheap and cheerful is always appealing. So Japanese paper doesn't always fall under that, although there are certainly affordable Japanese papers, I hasten to add. Anyway, so I made this piece, which I shared on Friday a little bit, but it's getting colorized. So the green is not there.
Right.
I don't know where that's coming from.
It's wild, eh? There. It's sort of momentarily. Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's just red, black, and white, so that's why all this magenta and green is bizarre. Must be something about the lights that's causing that. Let me brighten the screen. Maybe if I brighten the screen, it will.
Let's turn these off temporarily.
Okay.
Try it. See if that's any better.
No, it isn't.
No. Oh well.
It isn't that weird. It's something about the screen, obviously. All right. Well, I can't share it with you the way I was hoping to.
You have that plastic film that might be.
Maybe that's it. Okay.
Messing it up.
Wait 1 minute. I'm going to come back with the thing.
Meanwhile, guys, if anyone has any great suggestions for summer reads, let us know. And Sonia had suggested Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert earlier. So.
Yes, and I listened to that. I like audiobooks a lot, so I listened to that. Very good. About creativity. And she's given a famous TED Talk about... Okay, so it's not bound yet. So I've got these clips, and I've just got a protective layer over it. Okay, I'm going to figure this out better.
Well, certainly not having any green or magenta in it now.
Okay, so now you can see that it's not brightly colored in any way. And these are all different layers, right? This is Unryu paper, which is so in keeping with the veins that I've drawn. Got image transfer, digital prints, hand drawing. I'll get closer so you can see.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So what I want to do is make this paper, this black paper, by the way, I dyed myself with India ink. What I want to do is make a whole bunch of layers that I can choose from and then put things together, like outfits together. Anyway, so that they could turn into one larger piece where, I don't use all of the layers, but I use many of them, or it could turn into 3 pieces, just depends on what I manage to do. And I want to have a combination of media, different materials. One of the materials and different techniques. One of the materials I'm going to use different forms of plastic as well as paper and fabric to make the layers.
Sonia asked who the face was.
That is my great Aunt Margie.
Okay, I thought that's what I said, but I wasn't sure. And Mira says wonderful piece, and Sonia says nice.
Thank you. Yeah, I've done a few pieces based on my great Aunt Margie, who was my grandmother's aunt, and she was very sophisticated. She lived in New York City and was very well off during the Great Depression. She married 3 times, and she got proposed to again when she was living in the old age home. But she said no, she'd had enough. She wasn't going to get married again, and she was a well-known beauty of her time as well. So anyway, it's kind of fun working with that. I actually own a very small amount of costume jewelry of hers from the 1920s, which is pretty cool. I brought it out for an event this year, one piece. I forget what that was, but anyway, yeah.
So I said to Mira that I was glad she said she was entangled in the bonus jelly jam. Does that ring a bell? Was there a bonus jelly jam video or something?
There must have been.
All right. And Rebecca said she's busy making skins, but also thinks it's a beautiful piece.
Oh, thank you.
Sonia says firecracker of Auntie Margie.
Yeah, she was something. Definitely. Yeah. And I associate her very strongly with my grandmother because I didn't meet my Auntie Margie, but my grandmother, she was a hugely important figure in my grandmother's life. I did meet her sister, my great-grandmother, but I was too young to remember. But by all accounts, my great-grandmother was very excited. She loved babies and children, so never mind one of her own descendants. So this book is so close to being done. I'm glad I'm working on it because it's a terrible thing to leave it hanging, not making progress on it when it is, just a few more weeks and I could have it completed, I'm sure.
Yeah, Sonia got a glimpse of it earlier and said that it looks awesome. So you'll have
the book?
Yeah.
I'll do a flip through of the book before I sign off, okay? Because for my benefit too, because I haven't looked through it for a while. But it does have some lovely stuff in it, and because I was sort of, as I went along, I tried out some things that aren't my normal oeuvre, I guess, and kind of the fun of it, trying out different things, which the layers also can be. It's like pages in the book, except that you have the fun of being able to rearrange them and put different things on top of other things. I was thinking it would be nice to do more layering on some pages as well. And since the book is small, you could almost use offcuts from things to accomplish that. Got some nice bloody touches to my hands. I'm using a brush pen, by the way. Not a proper brush pen, not a true brush pen, but the newfangled kind that's kind of like a variation on a felt pen, but has a longer, tapered, flexible tip. It can be quite nice. Quite nice for detail work, actually. This one's by Pigma, which is made by Sakura.
Sonia says of the book, she can imagine it being exhibited. It looks very animated.
Well, yes. It really is meant to be art, or it's certainly an art laboratory. But, you know, as an artwork, thinking of it as a completed artwork, it's not a bad reflection of the nature of my mind, which starts off on one track and then wanders into another track. Thinks, oh, rats, I should try and bring back that other thing so that I have some consistency, and then forgets about it again. So yeah, it's because there's some spreads in here and sequences of spreads that I could imagine a whole book being done in that vein. I would have to, and I think, well, that would be neat. You should try to do that, Kim. And then I think, well, I'd have to set things up very specifically with my brain's inclinations in mind. So I'd have to have, I don't know, 3 or 4 books on the go at once, so that as soon as I started to deviate from the thing that's going on in this book, I could go to another book to do it. Because that's life as me. There's no getting around it.
Rebecca, I know you may have your head down on your skin making, but Annie asks you, are the skins that you're made with acrylic polymer medium?
I'm going to guess yes.
I would guess so as well, but
Yeah.
yes.
There we go. Oh, I should mention, I don't know what it's like. Media is going crazy these days for me. The other week, Cal was the featured artist on Arts Etobicoke's Instagram live stream. And you can go see in their highlights a recording he had to make after because didn't manage to save the live one.
I'm not sure it will be in their highlights, actually, because of that.
Oh, really?
It may just be on their website eventually.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so I'm going to be on it on August 4th, which is a Tuesday. Is that right?
Yeah, Tuesday and 2 p.m.
2 p.m. Instagram, Arts Etobicoke. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link to Stella's studio and to Arts Etobicoke in the description of this video below the screen after it's all up as a replay. So if anyone wants to join me for that, I'm actually preparing. You'll get a peek into the plan is, I should say.
Subject to change because it's Kim.
You'll get a peek into another part of my studio, which is actually, in theory, my main studio downstairs. I'm going to make it, it's going to be cluttered, but it's going to be functionally cluttered, not hopelessly cluttered.
Might that be where
the way it is now?
Yes.
Well, that's kind of funny that I ended up drawing these lines.
So, Kim,
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Good.
How do you find working and talking at the same time, as opposed to being more contemplative on your own in the studio? Like when you're doing something like this, how does it differ from?
It is different, but it's not the same as doing a demo teaching in a class, where most of my brain is focused on the students and communicating. And so sometimes my demos become pretty funny because not enough of my brain is on the what's actually happening in the demo. But that's all, that's good. That becomes a teaching point. So when I'm doing it here, it's quite pleasant, actually, particularly because I know so many people who are watching. So it feels more personal. And there are places I wouldn't go in my process. So some of I can't be profoundly focused,
Yeah.
blotting out the rest of the world. And some of my work, I specifically go to kind of deep interior places to plumb those for the work. Can't do that while doing this. But I can do a lot while doing this and feel good. After it's over, I notice I become tired because I have been doing extra processing. It's definitely more demanding than just quietly working in my book on my own or Cal here and that's it. No doubt about it. But it is I purposely kept the format for the virtual studio party casual. And, Cal does so much for his virtual collage jams, like coming up with
Hardly.
prompts, and he has a Facebook group and all of that. And I knew I couldn't do that or it would become too much like teaching for me and therefore too demanding, too draining. Whereas I really wanted this to be, let's hang out, let's chat, I'll do some stuff and we'll share whatever. But and so as a result, I'm able to have an enjoyable experience too. Higher demand than a purely social occasion or a purely studio occasion.
So Sonia says, relaxed. You're very, very relaxed and natural.
That's nice to hear. Thank you.
And of course, as far as the not going as deep, but
but that's okay.
You're very giving. And Mira says, as pleasant to listen to you and working on my side, the brain takes a different shift and splits in two, working at the same time.
Yeah.
So there's the
I understand
conversation, and then there's the work. And I sometimes think actually having some distraction can let the hands do what they need to do sometimes.
Yeah, keeps part of your brain busy without being too demanding, and that can be very pleasing. It's like I listen to spoken word stuff sometimes as I work or whatever when I'm working alone, and it serves the same purpose without the possibility of a back and forth, of course.
I should give you a heads up that it is 3:42.
Oh, geez, I'm going over time, but given the problems we had with the sound, I think that's
going a little longer.
So I'll just get a maybe 3 more minutes in and
do a little flip through.
Yeah, do a flip through at that point. It's interesting, it's been a few weeks since I worked on this spread, and I'm aware that I'm doing things I wouldn't have done in it a few weeks ago. Like it just wouldn't have happened. And just because of things I've been doing, things I've been thinking about, this is what's happening.
I think therefore it's just a book is a reflection of where you're at on any given page, right?
Yeah, I love it. I love that.
I know there are artists who are better about staying consistent, but I always find as soon as any time elapses, I'm a different artist.
Yeah. Well, and it's just a question of what's right for you, for what you do. Like if you look at art as a commodity and you're trying to market someone else's art, then you think, geez, I wish you'd be consistent because then I'd have a known thing to market. But honestly, if I'm not trying new things and pushing my limits and my comfort zone on a regular basis, then I'm doing my work and myself a disservice as an artist. Now, that's excluding the idea of and there are people who genuinely, authentically are highly focused and go deep in a particular recognizable line of work, for lack of a better term. And all due respect to them, because that's right for them. But it would be, if any of you spot me going too long being the same,
you'll know something's wrong.
yeah, come, take my temperature or something.
Mira had to leave, so
okay.
So if
bye,
she's
Mira.
Still there, see you later.
Take care.
Yeah. And Sonia says it's all you, just different parts. It's all linked.
Yeah.
The person has to look harder to see the connections.
Yeah, and that's valuable too, right? I've always loved seeing the evolution of artists.
When I was younger, I didn't understand that, because I would happen upon an artist because of a particular work or a particular body of work, and then I'd feel sort of betrayed that they had gone away from what I loved. It's like, and now I defend to the death artists' right to do that, because you need to do what you need to do, right?
That's right.
So, yeah.
Find new forms that make sense to you now.
Oh, Rebecca, yes. So Rebecca says that's why the one medium semester in VCAD was hard for her. Oh,
yeah,
my God.
I bet. One medium.
Yeah. That's brutal.
Yeah.
Sonia says it's all the same. Or if it's all the same, I get bored.
Yeah. I mean, I started in drawing and painting, portrait and figure. Now, drawing, there's a whole range of practices, and painting, there's a whole range of practices. But seriously, how traditional does that sound? And then I ended up being a multidisciplinary artist because I had to be. I found my way. And I just love, the hearts thing has been such a blessing, because I love them, but because they're such a strong, understandable, identifiable basis to then go and do a million different things, and it's all bound by that.
You have a monogamous relationship with the subject, but not the media.
Yeah,
which is kind of interesting, at least recently, last year or two.
Yeah, I mean, I think my skin work is probably going to be coming back in, because I think it feels like the time is right. It's been dormant for a while, so I'll be bringing some of that back in. But I guess that's going to be it for that spread. So I'll show that spread as part of the flip through. So, geez, I have ideas for how I'm going to do the cover. That involve bringing in some different kind of material, drilling through the cover. We'll see what happens. So I've got silver on the cover, applied with a pen, and that one end paper is also silver. I've got plans for this side though. Nothing on this page, an all black page. I'm going to bring this computer closer so I don't have to reach so far. Okay, so that's, see the gloss from the India ink? Yeah. Okay. So this was actually the first spread I did, the brushwork. And you can see I'm starting off the book in kind of a particular vein. This one, there's a cleanup process I'm going to do on this side, but this side you can see. It's funny how, because this is only one page thick, what's on the reverse side of this ends up resembling chain link fence.
Right.
which is one of my
Yeah.
major motifs. So it was on the reverse side. After that point, I decided, no, I've got to glue at least 2 pages together from now on so that they can withstand different media. This is collaged on, and you can see it's upside down, I think, text. Then there's this spread. And see how that surface is. So that relates to the red layer I just did today. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, all those white dabs.
Yeah, it's
except
more
they're
dimensional.
They're hard to find. They're hard.
Yeah.
Sort of hide and seek on the white on white.
And this, it's the negatives that have been collaged on. The red page showing through is the original page.
That's crazy because you expect it to be the opposite.
Yeah. This is the spread I was just working on. So all the details, I filled in some of the bigger teardrops, but sorry, you're not seeing that very well. All the little detail-y things came in today. So it's still not finished, but it's well along now. I'm going to do something more on this page. So stay tuned.
Watch this space.
Yeah, that's right.
Sonia says nice.
This one, quite Cal, I think, really likes
the
this.
colors in this one.
The layering of that is quite. Then, so you notice things are changing, right? And then, and then I went metallic. So everything except the white is metallic. Oh, I think there might be some black too, right? Yeah, there's a black wash, so it's gray over the page, the dark page.
That's like the cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can see there's a little theme happening. So, Elaine, I'm still thinking about the spirograph, which I was talking about when I did this. I feel like there's something there I need to do.
It feels like you have had a personality change at that spread,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Yeah.
It's all me. As Walt Whitman said, I contain multitudes. So this got very interesting when I started to perforate. That, to me, was like, ding, something's going on. I mean, I like the metallic. I like the moving to formalized pattern and so on. But then I had a really fun time with this spread. So there's the other side of the perforations, the dimensional dots.
Oh, right,
This is quite a dimensional striated. Hopefully you can see.
Surface. And then that U is
and
like
then that
medium,
frosted. Yeah, it's gel. You can see it has thickness. So that got exciting.
So Sonia's been loving it each page, and Annie says she loves the blue striating and vessel.
It's pretty neat, eh? There's something there. I might have to make a little panel that's like that too, you know, just standalone. So this is unfinished, but the rough and readiness is something that I may hang on to a little bit even while refining it and finishing it. This is my my writing spread, so I've got some blackout poetry on one page and some stream of consciousness writing on the other.
And is the writing is right over top, or did you gesso some of that?
It's right over top.
Right. Yeah.
But done through carbon paper.
Right. Oh, okay. So that you didn't have to like write your words right over top of.
One spread's a little bit stuck together.
Take this opportunity to say that Sonia liked the gray spread just the way it was. The one that you said had more space, like a while back.
Oh, okay. Right. It's a gray green, but yes, it probably looks gray on the screen.
Elaine says, "Do it, Tim." not sure.
The spirograph? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so,
Yeah, that
yeah.
must be it.
Either that or the panel, the standalone panel. Both worth doing, I think. And then continuing on. So, now for something completely different, right?
Yeah.
But then this leads into
It's a one-woman group show.
this was when the George Floyd thing happened. So it's the only representational thing at all. And so that hand, the black hand, it's all done with monoprint. And this handle, I mean, you can interpret it whatever way you want, but why it happened, it wasn't originally read. I was thinking of the Tiananmen massacre and the iconic image of the man with his little white shopping bag defying the tanks. And yeah, so there's a bit of an homage to him there. And then this just has some activation, but nothing resolved. And is that it? That's it. That's all she wrote.
All she drew and all she painted. And all
if you look at it, I mean, there's all the stuff I've actually done. And here are the pages that remain. And a bunch of these, some will need to be cut out. Some will need to be glued together. So I'm really very far along,
in this
right?
particular one.
So, yeah.
Sonia says, wonderful.
Oh, thank you. So, artist journals and creative journals are a very popular thing on YouTube and so on. And some people teach them and so on. And I once offered a workshop on it, but I think altered books are fantastic formats for doing something like that, because I think you feel freer to improvise because you never face the blank page. And it's a nice compact thing, a book, and it's got sequence, and there's something wonderful and tactile about flipping pages. So yeah, I'm really happy that I got this back out.
Annie says, beautiful. Thanks. Have a great rest of the weekend, Kim and Cal.
Thank you. You too, Annie.
And Stella says, beautiful. Thank you for creating this creative space. It means the world.
Oh, thank you, Stella. That means a lot to me, really.
Sonia says, no one should teach that. You must have made a reference to something.
Teaching creative journaling and art journaling. Yeah. No, it's a thing. Well, because you can treat it really as not so much like a private journal, but as a laboratory for art processes. And that's sort of what they do, with the addition of some little personal touches, right? But, yeah. That does make our day, Stella. Thanks, Cal, for saying that. Thank you, Sonia, for coming. I'm so glad you came. And thank you, everybody, for coming, especially you found us, you rejoined us after the debacle with the sound. So, yeah, much, much appreciated. This has been really fun. Thank you so much, Rebecca. And I appreciate the perspective from Kirk around the snafus. Tech snafus. They just the way things go, right?
It's got to roll with them, but
yeah,
it definitely
it helps if you have nice people.
Yes, bless you all for being patient. Sorry about that.
Anyway, so we've learned something, and that's always valuable. So glad you had fun, Sonia, and so did I. It's always so nice spending time here with everyone, and I hope you have a really lovely weekend. Get some relaxed time in. Enjoy whatever edibles or flowers you've got going and growing. And we'll be back again same time next week, same channel. And Cal has his virtual collage jam Monday at 2 p.m. on his channel. And I will, when this video is up, I will put links in the description to the Arts Etobicoke on Instagram and to the Stella Studio TV show that I appeared on. And I see Elaine has said something.
Elena says,
Oh,
so wonderful. Have a lovely weekend.
I'm
Hugs.
so glad we can at least visit this way, Elaine. Jeez. Please invite you to the live stream. Is that what you're meaning, Sonia? Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
into anything, I think. Yeah. See you
Right.
next time,
Yeah.
Sonia.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.